أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Viewers, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We are here once again for the edition of the program, for the new edition of the program Islam is a Way of Life, coming to you from Kullumi Television. And as always, my name is Aminu, Aliyu, Gusau.Topic. We are treating the topic Islam and monotheism. That is to say, Islam is a religion based on belief in one creator, one God, who is the source of everything that we see in the universe. Now, here, today we'll talk about the concept of faith. That is what we call Iman in Arabic. The philosophers believe in rational thinking. So for them, the method of acquiring knowledge is rational thinking. For the scientists, the method of acquiring knowledge is experiment. For the polytheists, the method of acquiring knowledge is what we can call customs. That is simply what becomes the tradition and the customs of the people. But in Islam introduces a new concept, a new method of acquiring knowledge. And that method is called al-wahy in Arabic. That is the message of God which he brings down to his messengers. That is wahy. That is to say, there are certain things which we must all believe. There are certain fundamental issues that we cannot define or solve by ourselves. We cannot just by relying on our intellect.
Subscribe to my channel.
Or even relying
and also
on
press this bell icon.
Our experiments. We cannot explain these things. So, for instance, try as they may, the philosophers and the scientists cannot still answer the question of what is the origin of life. I have said that both philosophers and scientists just say that everything came from nothing. But they have no proof of that. They have no proof that everything came from nothing. So, in short, what the philosophers and scientists are saying is that there used to be nothing. Then, at a certain point in time, things started appearing, just like that. They are saying that everything we see in the universe has a beginning. They cannot explain what is beyond the beginning of creation. And they cannot explain how things, objects came to be. These are things that cannot be explained by them. They only use certain words like nature or luck or evolution and so on. But try as they may, still the beginning of life and the beginning of existence is still very far away from people's grasp. People cannot understand this either by science or by philosophy. So Islam now answers these questions for us. Islam says there is what is called ghaib. Ghaib means things that cannot be comprehended by the five senses of man. That is, there are certain things which you cannot see, or you cannot hear, or you cannot smell, or you cannot touch, or you cannot measure. So these things are beyond the comprehension of man. They are beyond the comprehension of man. That is beyond the five senses. But they are within the perception of man. That is to say, man can, if man gets proper explanation, he can perceive these things, he can understand these things. So they are not beyond the intellect of man, but they are beyond the senses of man. That is ghaib. That is to say, the life of the unseen. That is things that cannot be comprehended by the senses, but they can be perceived and understood by the intellect. So Islam says, first and foremost, we have to believe in this. That is to say, there is a creator. And that creator is within the realm of the ghaib. That is the world beyond the senses. That is to say, we cannot see him, we cannot directly hear him or associate with him. But he is there. But we can perceive, we can understand that he is there. He is there. Why? Because nobody can tell us how something can come out of nothing, or how something can just make itself or himself while he was not existing, or that living things can come out of non-living things. Nobody has been able to explain these facts, and nobody can explain them. That is why we have to, our mind can understand, our intellect can understand that there has to be a living, somebody who is living, who is alive, and who is the source of all existence. But that living spirit, we cannot see that living spirit. We cannot hear him. We will not be able to associate with him. We cannot quantify him. He is beyond our senses. So we have to believe that he is there. And this belief is called Iman. So Islam is saying that first and foremost, before we can acquire true knowledge and get proper answers to the fundamental questions of life, we have to first and foremost believe in what our senses cannot see,
Hey
but
there.
our intellect can comprehend.
Subscribe to my channel.
We have to
And
do that.
also press this bell icon.
Now this is Iman. That is believing in the unseen. Is the foundation of every religion, not only Islam. It is the foundation of every religion. And that is why science rejects Iman. Science rejects faith. Science says whatever we cannot see, whatever we cannot hear, whatever we cannot touch, whatever we cannot measure or quantify, whatever, that is to say, it doesn't exist. But still, scientists have been able to see, even if we cannot see something, we cannot hear it or touch it or smell it, but still we can see its effect. It exists. Scientists believe in this. But when it comes to God, they say they don't believe in that. Because even if we cannot see God, we cannot hear Him, we cannot touch Him, still we can see the effect of His existence. One of the effects of His existence is that we exist. So, again, in this respect, the scientists and the philosophers have made a grave error, a grave mistake, because they say, okay, we cannot see air, we cannot touch air, we cannot smell it, but we can see the effect of air. So air exists. They say we cannot see light, we cannot see light waves, we cannot see magnetic waves, we cannot see X-rays, and we cannot see ultraviolet waves, we cannot see sound waves, but we can see their effect. So they are there, they exist. So if we cannot see or hear something, but still we can see its effect and we believe it exists, why don't we believe that God exists? Because the whole of the universe, from its beginning to its end, is the effect of the existence of God. It is only because God exists that all these things exist. So we all constitute the effect of the existence of God. But the scientists and the philosophers say, we believe in this when it affects air or when it affects waves, but we don't believe in it when it affects God. So which means that the philosophers and the scientists are only trying to reject God just like that. That is to say, they want to reject religion despite every fact that points to the truth of the teachings of religion. So anybody who says, I cannot, I will not believe in the unseen, is just voicing his own opinion, but the facts are against him. For instance, now, before man is able to invent microscope, germs could not be seen. It is only when microscope was manufactured, was invented, that man is able to see germs. But these germs were there since the beginning of life, and they were creating sickness. They were making people sick. They were creating diseases. Now, at that period of time, when there was no microscope, does it mean that there were no germs? It doesn't mean so. It only means that at that period of time, man could not be able to see germs with his naked eyes, or associate with germs. That is, he cannot even relate sickness to germs. He didn't even understand that sickness is the effect of germs attacking the body. So, it's Iman, which is faith, is the essence of religion. You have to first of all believe that certain things exist, but are beyond the scope of your naked eyes or naked ears. You cannot see or hear them, but they do exist, and they are there. and their effects on life is there. And plenty, and right now, there are millions and millions of existing objects which we don't know about. But it doesn't mean that they don't exist. They are there. So we believe in the unseen. And that is how we believe in God, according to the teaching of Islam. We will continue, inshallah, next week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.